You really can't make this stuff up. Imagine pushing some of the toughest gun laws in the country for years, standing behind podiums, signing bills, making speeches about how these restrictions are common-sense reforms, only to get caught up in those very same laws because someone handed you a legal firearm as a gift on camera. That's exactly what happened here. The governor of California, a man who spent a significant part of his political career tightening the screws on gun ownership, was given a California-compliant handgun during a taped interview. He accepted it, smiled, made a few jokes about the TSA, and casually claimed to respect the Second Amendment. And just like that, the whole thing exploded. The video clip went viral in no time. People started dissecting every frame, every word, the jokes about sneaking it through airport security, the chuckle, the way he handled the gun. It all started raising one big question. Did he just break his own law? It was a rare moment where political image, personal action, and legal reality clashed in the most public and ironic way possible. And once you start unpacking it, the whole thing turns from funny to downright absurd. Now, if you've ever lived in California or even tried to bring a firearm into the state, you already know the gun laws there aren't just strict, they're practically a bureaucratic minefield. You don't just buy or receive a gun in California. No. You begin a legal process that feels like applying for a federal security clearance. You need to go through a licensed dealer, complete a background check, submit to a 10-day waiting period, obtain a firearm safety certificate, and make sure the model is on the state-approved roster. And don't even think about bringing it in from out of state without checking every regulation line by line. This is the legal landscape that everyday Californians have to navigate. People who just want to exercise a constitutional right end up jumping through hoops, paying fees, waiting weeks, and dealing with enough red tape to mummify a moving truck. And here's the kicker. Many of these rules were either signed into law or supported by the very same person who just got caught in them. So, when he joked about taking that gift through the TSA, it didn't land like a harmless line. It landed like a potential violation. And suddenly, what was supposed to be a friendly moment on camera turned into a very public lesson in legal irony. So, here's what actually happened. During a taped interview, the governor was handed a California-compliant .365 macro pistol. On camera, no hiding it, no second takes. Just one smooth moment where the host offered the gift, and the governor, without skipping a beat, accepted it. He held it up, admired it, even made a few comments about how cool it was. Then came the line that really made people stop and rewind. A joke about taking it through TSA. Something along the lines of, "You want me to get caught at the airport with this?" followed by a chuckle. Now, jokes are jokes. But when you're the sitting governor of the most gun-regulated state in the country, and you're holding a firearm on camera while making travel references, that hits differently. He followed up by saying that he respected the gift and that he wasn't anti-gun. It all came across casual, friendly. Some might even say calculated. But the internet doesn't do casual. People caught that clip and ran with it. It didn't take long for questions to start popping up. Did he just accept a handgun without going through proper procedures? Was he planning to fly home with it? What about the California rules on out-of-state firearm transfers? And here's where the entire situation turns from humorous to insane. In California, you can't just accept a handgun as a gift, even if it's California compliant. If it's being transferred from out of state, it has to go through a licensed dealer in California. That means a background check, the state-mandated 10-day waiting period, a valid firearm safety certificate, and verification that the model is on the state's approved roster. These aren't suggestions. They're mandatory steps, with penalties attached if you skip them. And the law doesn't care if you're a new buyer or a seasoned gun owner or the governor himself. On paper, what happened during that interview set off multiple alarm bells, not because the firearm itself was illegal, but because the process matters. The way you receive, transfer, or transport it matters. And when the man responsible for enforcing those rules appears to bypass them, even unintentionally, people notice. To be clear, there's no concrete evidence he tried to break the law. But that didn't stop the clip from catching fire. It didn't stop legal analysts, Second Amendment advocates, and political watchdogs from weighing in. The image of the governor casually accepting a firearm and joking about flying home with it sent exactly the wrong message, not just to gun owners, but to anyone paying attention to how leadership applies rules to themselves versus the public. That one clip opened up a whole conversation, and for once, the people pushing back weren't just critics. They were asking a valid legal question. Did the governor just get tripped up by his own legislation? Now here's where things start getting even more ridiculous. The moment that clip started spreading, it wasn't just internet commentators and gun owners chiming in. A California assembly member stepped in and decided to take the whole thing up a notch. He fired off official letters to both the U.S. Department of Justice and the California Attorney General, asking whether the governor had violated state or federal law by accepting the firearm and appearing to plan to fly home with it. And while the move sounded like political theater at first, the letters weren't jokes? Sure. They were written with a heavy dose of sarcasm, calling it a shame if the governor had accidentally violated one of his own common-sense laws. But the questions they raised were very real. Was the transfer legal? Was the governor exempt from the process the rest of us have to follow? What happened to the firearm after the interview? It wasn't just a letter. It was a mirror, one that reflected the kind of system California has built around firearms: dense, overly complex, and unforgiving. A system that regular people have to navigate all the time, without teams of lawyers to guide them through it. So the fact that someone in power got entangled in it wasn't just ironic, it was completely on brand for how broken the whole thing is. Eventually, we got an answer. Not a public press conference, not a strong defense, just a quiet clarification. According to reports, the governor's team had to consult legal counsel to review the situation. You heard that right. The guy who helped create these laws needed lawyers to figure out whether he could legally accept a gift. That says it all. And after all that legal review, here's what they decided. Forget it. Too much trouble. The risk of messing up, even slightly, wasn't worth the optics. So the governor left the gun behind. It didn't go back with him to California. It didn't go through a proper FFL transfer. It didn't even make it out of the state. It just stayed in Tennessee. That's the punchline right there. After all the legislation, all the years of pushing regulation after regulation, when it came time to personally deal with that system, he backed out. Not because he couldn't have gone through the process, but because even he realized what a nightmare that process had become. He got a taste of his own system, and instead of facing it, he walked away from it. This wasn't just a PR slip or a headline that went sideways. This whole mess was a moment of clarity. A governor who's made a career out of tightening gun laws finally ran headfirst into the exact system he helped create, and it stopped him cold. That's not just funny, that's revealing. Because, let's be honest, most Californians don't have access to legal teams, don't have staff to do research, and definitely don't have the luxury of just saying, forget it, and walking away. When they try to legally acquire a firearm, they don't get a shortcut. They get a checklist, a wait period, and a mountain of fine print. And if they get it wrong, they pay the price. But when the guy at the top hits the same wall and decides it's not worth the hassle, that says everything. He didn't try to change the law. He didn't go on record saying it needs to be fixed. He didn't even acknowledge how ridiculous it all was. He just opted out, left the gun in Tennessee, and moved on like it never happened. And that's the real takeaway here. Not just that he couldn't comply with his own laws, but that he had no intention of doing so once the system got uncomfortable. Meanwhile, the very people those laws affect every day, people who can't just leave it behind, are stuck navigating that mess on their own. And it wasn't just legal analysts or commentators who noticed. Regular people saw it too, and they were furious. Social media lit up with posts from Californians who've had to wait 10 days, fill out paperwork, and pay fees just to gift a gun to a family member. Some said if they'd tried what he did, they'd already be facing charges. Others called it typical. Rules for thee, not for me. The frustration was raw, because this wasn't just about a pistol. It was about power, privilege, and a system that punishes compliance and rewards status. It's not just ironic, it's hypocritical. It's performative politics at its finest. Smile for the camera, say the right things, take the gift, nod along, and then bail out when reality kicks in, all while pretending to respect the rights you've worked so hard to limit. So yeah, it's funny, but it's also kind of tragic. because nothing's going to change. The laws will stay the same, the bureaucracy will keep growing, and the next time a regular person slips up, even by accident, they won't get to leave anything behind. They'll get penalized.